We are very lucky to have Danielle with us today. So we are lucky for several reasons. Danielle has an amazing story of what she's done to make her own vision come true, and she's still in pursuit of it every single day. She is a travel influencer, a YouTuber, an Instagrammer, and she wrote an ebook as well. She has traveled the world from her Instagram. You may know her from her drool-worthy feed, the WanderLover, and she left her finance job in Manhattan to live in Bali, where she lives now. And we also feel like this is a special time for us together because we first met 2 or 3 years ago.
Almost 3 years ago, I would say.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. We're both NYU alum, right?
I went to Cornell.
Oh, never mind. we both went to school in New York. That's so funny. I don't know why I thought that. But anyway, we met, and during at that time, both of us were not where we are now. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's completely different chapters in life, I would say.
Very much, yeah. So we were kind of lost, but we knew we weren't really happy with our jobs, and we knew there was something more. We both had that tug of our vision, but it hadn't quite come to life yet. So it's very come full circle that now we're together, both of us self-employed, and also we've kept in touch over the years, but we haven't actually hung out until now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, Danielle.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Good, good. We're so excited to have you and hear from you. I know so many people love the Instagram world, so you're gonna give us a lot of value. So before that, take us back a little to when your life wasn't the vision that you're able to live out now, and even a little bit before you were at your corporate job, but in college, and kind of what you thought life was gonna look like when you were there.
Yeah, I think before college, before the whole Instagram world kind of blew up, I went in, studied applied economics and management, specialized in finance. All my friends growing up and going into college and in college all wanted to pursue like finance or accounting or consulting, you know?
And I knew what that meant, but like they wanted to do
exactly. I'm like, I want to be an investment banker. Like, what's an investment banker? I was like, I have no idea. But everyone around me wants to be. And so I thought that's what would make me happy. That's what everyone around me was striving to get into. And so I felt like it was kind of laid out for me, you know? And I interned at banks. I interned in corporate. And I think it wasn't until I studied abroad in Italy. I did my fall semester junior year abroad, and I just was open to completely new ways of living. Like, met people from all around the world who weren't in finance, weren't in consulting, didn't speak English, you know? And I was like, wait, I might not be, like I might...
Yeah, there might be something else.
Yeah, and I think that's what opened my eyes, but still it was hard. Every time I went back to Cornell, everyone would be on this path towards finance, and that's where I ended up, but knew I didn't belong. Wasn't gonna stay longer than a couple years, and here I am.
Amazing. So do you have like the distinct moment, whether it was internal or external, when you were at your corporate job and you're like, I'm gonna start something different? Because I know you started a little bit on the side before you took the full leap, and so what was the moment where you're like, okay, I'm actually gonna start?
I think it was, even going into it, I knew I was only going to stay. There was an expiration date. So since the beginning, I knew I was pursuing other ventures, trying to read other ways how to make money online, just learn how to make income and not be dependent from my employer. And I remember my really good friend at the bank, she quit after her first year. And at that point, I was just so shocked. I wasn't ready. And I was like, I can't believe you're doing this. And all she said was, your time will come. And 1 year later, I gave myself a date on July 11th of 2017. I was like, that's when I'm going to quit.
Wow.
In 2 weeks, and made it happen, and that was my time.
Wow. So where was your now very wildly popular Instagram account at that time when you quit?
So I started my account when I graduated a semester early to backpack.
Oh.
So I went to South America, to Europe for 6 months, and I was taking a lot of landscape photos, and I started it actually in 2015. When I was at the bank, it kind of died down. I still had it. It started off as a features account, so I would only feature other people's landscape photos or post my landscape photos. I was never in the photos myself. I was doing that on and off for 2 years while I was working, but it didn't pick up until maybe like my second year, towards the end of my second year at the bank. And I was like, this could be something.
Wow.
17.
As you were like, okay, I'm leaving, I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love that you share that, because it's so easy to look at people that have, you know, gotten somewhere very impressive and not really realize everything they did to get there.
Yeah.
Or really just think, well, if I just did what they did, I'd be where they are. But often people have no idea what you did to get where you are.
Yeah.
So you were posting for years and other people's accounts, and really, so amazing.
Mm-hmm. I always say, like, don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Awesome. And so what was it like quitting? Was it scary?
It was overwhelming. I did take a couple personal days beforehand, which wasn't the same, but I was like, I wonder what I'd be doing day to day if I didn't have to go into work. And I am very like self-motivated. I knew how to keep myself busy and like work towards, I guess, a future vision.
Mm-hmm.
So there was work for me to do, and it just happened to be like what I wanted to do, not what work was given to me. There was a mild adjustment period where I was like, wait, did I make a mistake?
Sure.
And I think that's natural.
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
I took it as a growing experience. Like, it's always uncomfortable when you step outside your comfort zone, but I haven't looked back.
Yeah. So how did you get through some of those times? Or how do you, I think everyone listening or everyone that tries to do anything new has their own fears that come up. And so how do you deal with your fears?
For me, it was always trying to find someone I aspired to be, and seeing where they are today and kind of going back to where they started, and seeing how they progressed and ended up being where they are. So for example, with YouTube, for a lot of my life, I was like, oh, there's so many big YouTubers, like I'll never get to their level, like I'm so behind. But then, do you know Ami Song?
Yes,
Style?
yeah, oh my God.
I went on her YouTube and sorted her videos from oldest to newest, and went to her first ever video, like years ago. And it was in front of a Mac computer, you know, just like not edited at all. And it was like, everyone starts from somewhere.
Right.
And you just have to do it.
Oh, that's really good advice. I mean, even you have 110,000 followers on Instagram, and you started with one, just like everyone else. Like, we all started with 0.
Yeah, and you just have to be consistent. Like,
yeah, exactly. And
do it.
That's like what my whole why behind starting this podcast was about, is ways that people have consistently stood up for their vision, even when things seem like they aren't getting there or they're not working out, but remembering that like you have that vision, and you have to fight for it, because no one else is going to fight for it for you.
And everyone has these, they second guess themselves. It's normal.
Yeah.
Just have to bounce back.
Yeah, right, exactly. And do it as quick as you can so you keep going. So having such a big influence on Instagram, and you know, sharing a lot of what your life is like, how has that changed kind of your personal life? Do people recognize you? What's it like to share so much of your life online?
Yeah, that was actually very exciting. Like, I was in Miami, and someone was like, are you the WanderLover? It happened a handful of times. The first time was the most memorable.
Of course, it's so exciting. But look at me.
Yeah, I think it's so cute.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
awesome.
I love producing content. I love like sharing my life. I feel like I would do it anyway, even if it wasn't my job.
That's awesome.
So I find it very refreshing.
That's great. Yeah, and your account is so positive and inspirational. It's like you're adding so much good to the world. So if you're connecting with people that are interested in that, you're gonna automatically have good things to say to each other.
Very good vibes.
Yeah, I love that. And so what's next? What do you see coming out of your Instagram, or just sort of your nomadic life in general?
Definitely, I have a lot of personal goals that I would like to achieve. Like, I want to be fluent in Spanish.
Oh, that's awesome.
So my next destination will probably be Argentina, when it's summertime there, like later this year. YouTube.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, we were talking about that.
I wanted to start my YouTube channel and make like consistent videos and vlogs when I moved to Bali, but got a little distracted
by Bali.
Was enjoying life a little too much, recording it all the time, but I definitely want to focus on at least weekly vlogs.
Cool.
To even produce something to get video editing, you know, content creation, like talking in front of the camera.
What do you love about video? What calls to you about it?
I think it's just a new challenge.
Yeah.
It's a whole new world. I love the creativity aspect of it. I love storytelling. There's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're starting that.
Yeah.
We can go through it together.
Yes.
Okay, and so Instagram itself, what are your top 3 tips for people wanting to grow their Instagram?
What I tell people all the time, you need to focus on content. You know, like look at other accounts that are big, like see what they're doing and compare your photos. Like, yes, there's a learning curve, but you can get there, you know? So take tips on what they're doing because it's working. Engage with your community, like reply back to every comment, like build a connection with your followers. You don't want to just kind of ignore the people supporting you.
Right.
And the biggest thing is be consistent. So many people want to make it and then they give up after like a couple weeks.
Right.
I tell them like post every day for 2 months.
Yeah, right.
And it's gonna grow. Like,
right.
And people stop after the first week and it, like, they get discouraged. I'm
right.
like, you can't do that. Like, it's not a overnight success kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's such good advice with really anything in business. Like, you have to have the long game in mind.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be treating it like it's a sprint, because you'll exhaust yourself and you will never come out sustainably on top.
Yeah, I think people are just scared too, especially the ones coming from corporate, because with corporate, everything's laid out for you. You know, if you stay here in 2 years, you'll get promoted.
Right.
There's like this timeline, there is milestones, and you don't see that in the entrepreneurial world. So you like don't believe in yourself. You like give up prematurely.
Right. Yeah, it's uncharted territory, but I think for me, whenever I go through times of being like, I have so no clue where this is gonna lead, you remember, like, that's the fun of it. That's the excitement of it. I don't want to know how this is all gonna turn out, because otherwise I would still be in the corporate world.
And I'm a lot better accepting that now than when I first quit. I think when I first quit, I was like, oh, I don't know like when people would ask me what my 5-year plan is and I didn't have it, it would freak me out. But now I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to be in 5 months, and that's okay. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do I need to have my next 5 years planned out, or 10 or yeah.
I think it's so valuable to just ask better questions when you're trying to change your life like that, and really think, you know, everyone's telling me I need to have consistent salary. It's like, do I really actually need that, or do I just need enough to live, and, you know, things will come when they come? And, you know, I'm not saying that people should make money, but this idea that we need to have this steady stream of income, it's just something worth challenging and asking, what do you really need to be happy?
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's with the whole online media and internet culture, how we're so connected, we're exposed to more. We don't, like, as millennials, we don't take out as many mortgages, you know, like we're not really committed to staying in one place. So I feel like all the people giving us advice are risk averse elders who have been there with mortgages, you know, and you need stability to maintain that lifestyle, but we don't have that lifestyle, and we don't need that lifestyle. Right. So it's okay to be risky. It's
so true. Sometimes it's like, why am I taking advice from someone I don't want to be like at all? You know, and it's like, you have to just question these things sometimes, and we don't question them enough. And I remember when I left my 9-to-5 job, one of the things, like, after the first week, I was like, I am exhausted, and I realized it's because I had made so many more decisions that week, little decisions, that I didn't make at my 9-to-5 job, because you don't have to at a 9-to-5 job. Everything is so robotic. You're going through the motions. You know what you're supposed to do, and all of a sudden it's like, I have to decide when I get up, when I get dressed, do I leave the house? Like, all these things that no one's telling me what to do anymore, and I'm fried. It's a good problem to have, but
nice world to follow.
Yeah, very good problem to have. It does make you realize how robotic things can be. Okay, so now if you could go back 3 years and tell yourself anything,
I would definitely have stuck with my Instagram. As I mentioned, like, it kind of died a little while I was working corporate. I think if I stayed with it, I would have learned a lot of things a lot sooner. I would have grown more. You know, everything happens for a reason. I'm not gonna say I wish I didn't, like, focus on my job.
Yeah, right.
I could have dedicated a little more time into Instagram and learning a little more. And I probably would be a little more ahead now.
Yeah. Well, what about, do you think you'd look back and tell yourself, like, girl, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna turn out good.
And I wish I, like, believed in myself a little more.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Sometimes thinking about that is like, that's also good advice for me now, because you think about 3 years from now, we're also then going to look back and be like, you should really believe in yourself a lot.
Yeah, it's easier to say when you've made it.
Right, of course. And when you're like climbing up this wall, like, oh God, is this going to work?
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, exactly. Okay, awesome. Well, I have a couple quick questions for you. So, how do you consistently fight for your vision, even when logistics, health insurance, society, etc., gets in the way or sort of conflicts with the bigger vision you have for yourself?
I think reflecting back on what I'm grateful for and how happy I am with how my life turned out and the decisions I have made to get myself here, it tells me internally that I have made the right decision. So even if I do experience like some obstacles, you know, like overall I'm a much happier person. I know I'm going to get through it. I know challenges are inevitable. And if anything, I would rather experience challenges on this path than the path I was on before.
Yeah.
Like, I love what I'm doing and it's only going to go uphill from here.
Yeah, that's such a good way to look at it. Like, there's gonna be, no matter what road, there's obstacles. So what road do you want to experience them on?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that after, you know, you've proven to yourself that you've reached a certain level of success, you can sort of trust your gut from then on. You're like, well, I haven't really messed up that bad. If I want to do something, I'm gonna do it. Do you make decisions very intuitively?
It depends. I used to be a planner. Like, I would plan everything. I knew every decision was like the cause, whatever. Now I'm very go with the flow.
Yeah, the finances getting kicked out of you. Awesome. Okay, so what are you most proud of in pursuing your vision so far?
Moving to Bali, I would say. So when I was in finance, I had 15 vacation days, and at that point I hadn't, I've never gone to Australia. I actually thought I wanted to move to Sydney. And I remember booking my flight after I quit and visiting Sydney, not really liking it as much as I liked Bali. I went to Bali first. I always wanted to live in another country, and had I been in finance, it would have probably been London or another city, you know, where like the bank was.
And where it's cold. Like New York.
And I found Bali, and I built a life where I was able to stay there for a long period of time. Going back in 10 days.
Yeah.
So excited.
Oh, it's so amazing. Good. You have so much to be proud of. What about a book or podcast that you really recommend?
So I think the book that changed my life the most, when I was still in corporate, have you heard of Millionaire Fasting by MJ DeMarco?
I haven't.
I have pages of notes.
Really?
From that book, and it talks about building a system where you're working for yourself, but you are also able to passively make income. And it's just so, every business decision I make, I'm always thinking, like, does it follow his criteria to having the most freedom in your life? Because I'm all about freedom.
Right.
I hate being told what to do. I hate, like, it's very rebellious. Can I share like my favorite part of the book?
Please. No, I love this.
He talks about this concept called CENTS, like CENTS, and he says if you want to start a business venture, you have to make sure it meets these 5 criteria. C is for control. You need full control over how the business is running. If you work for a bank, you know, like if the bank goes down, then you don't have a source of income. Even with Instagram, if Instagram goes down, like I lose this, but I have a blog, you know?
Right. Yeah, and you have, if I can interrupt for just really quick, an amazing ebook for anyone listening and may want to know how to grow their Instagram. It's one of the best things I've seen on the topic. And what you're saying is what I tell my clients all the time. Like, you have to have something that's yours. You have to have something that's yours.
Yeah, and so many people ask me the same questions. Like, it's growing, you know, like all companies are dedicating marketing budgets to influencer marketing. It's growing. They know like the power we have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I answer a lot of those questions.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, so please keep going with that.
And then so the second criteria, E, entry, so barriers to entry. If there's no initial capital investment, if everyone's doing it, it's obviously going to be harder to succeed. If there's an initial time investment before you see some trade-off, which I guess Instagram,
right,
and the dedication, like you should pursue that. The third is what's N? Oh, the need. So people need to they need what you're selling.
There's a need for it.
There's a need for it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell something that no one wants,
Right.
like,
It's not gonna fly.
The fourth is time. how you make money, you should be making money in your sleep. It should not be
a time for money transaction.
Exactly, like working for an hourly wage. And last is scale. You have to be able to scale it internationally. You know, if you open an auto shop in New York City, you're only going to get customers who have a car in New York City. It's very location confined. And in this day and age with the internet, there's no reason to have something so confined to one area.
That sounds like a great book.
Just little tidbits like that. It makes me be more certain in a certain venture I'm investing time into.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this going to meet the criteria? Is it going to help me be free?
Yeah. Well, it's such a valuable framework to work under because it makes so much sense. The author, I'm sure, is very smart. And, you know, sometimes when we're in this like relatively new territory of social media and online business, you can wonder like, you know, how does this compare? But if it meets every one of these criteria, you like can feel pretty good that it's gonna happen.
You just need that reassurance.
right. And then it makes it exciting. It's like, ooh, this works and it's new. I get to explore it. Awesome. Okay, so you kind of told us that you're gonna do a lot of YouTube, you're going back to Bali. Anything else people can expect from you next?
I do want to just be as creative, like test every angle of photos, of videos, combining photos and videos. I do want to break barriers, you know, and that takes like thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And so it will be exciting just creating full time.
Amazing. Great. And so how can people find you and find out more about you?
Awesome. So you can find me on Instagram at WanderLover, TheWanderLover. I have a blog, WanderLover.com, and if any of you want to learn how I got to where I am today, the steps to take to be successful on Instagram, you can also read my ebook, The Travel Influencer Handbook.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I guarantee, like, I will probably answer most of your questions.
Yeah, I'm sure you get the same questions over and over.
And if you DM me, like, I respond to every one of my messages. I give a lot of advice, like, one-on-one as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Course.
It's been a lot of fun, and we're all very lucky to learn from you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.